Welcome back, everybody. This is your boy Berkio and my beautiful bride Brianna. And guys, we are so glad to be back in front of you all, talking about our seed preservation series.
Absolutely. We've been kind of busy though lately. Travis was on the Black Love Club. Goodness.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, and then I was on last week, and it was kind of funny because it was tying into what we've been talking about in this series a little bit with parenting. It was overall, but it came up in the conversation as well for both of us.
Yeah, and I think the biggest part about that was just the fact of, we as parents now want to do things differently than what our parents did before us. Not that our parents did anything wrong or bad. It's just that is how,
Evolving.
yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. I always said that I'm better than my mom and dad, and not in an arrogant way, but they set a way for me to become better than them. And
Right.
I think if I ask them, like, are you happy of who I am? The person and the man that I am, I feel like they both would say yes. I'm not gonna really talk about my dad, because I don't know. We haven't talked in a couple of years, but um, I'm praying that he grows, and I'm hoping, that God just works on his heart,
Yeah.
because that's all I can do. I've realized that there are some things as a child, now as a parent, that you just don't understand until you are a parent.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the biggest thing, and we talked about that on both sides, on your podcast with the Black Love Club and with mine. And the women's view last week was really good. If you guys didn't see that, go check it out. It was really good. It was really good. There was some gems that was dropped from her and Ebony, and it was really funny as well. If you guys didn't check it out, Ebony happened to be our person that made not her.
I mean, it benefits you
It
too.
benefits
I'm
me
not
too.
as all over the place,
Yes,
but
which is a good thing.
yeah, she helped. She made the placenta encapsulations.
Yes,
If you
I
don't
couldn't
know
think
what
of the word.
that is, basically, take the placenta after you have a baby and grind it up and make it into pills. You ingest them, and it's basically you're putting yourself back in your body.
You're
And
putting
so
yourself
you feel
back
more,
together.
Yeah, yeah,
which
yeah,
is kind of cool.
and it helps with the whole postpartum journey. So
Yeah.
shout out to her because they work.
Yeah. But getting into this week's series, it's a really good one. We've been, I think, really kind of pouring into this one because this one we really don't want to mess up.
Yeah,
We really want to
it's
give you
so
guys.
important.
It's so important. All jobs are important, but you as a steward of your children, it's probably the most important job that God can give you.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's something that we both take serious. It's something that we both want to grow at as a parent, and it's something that I'm hoping will resonate, as always, with you guys to make you go, man, I probably should add this to the repertoire of parenting. And one thing that I've realized is parenting doesn't ever stop. It doesn't
It's
stop.
not.
I'm in my big age of 37. I still want my mama to parent me. I would like for my father, earthly father, to do that in ways to help me. But I'm already setting my ways as it goes. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't know if there's some good wisdom from it. I'm gonna take it, regardless of who it comes from. So
Right. I mean, I talk to my mom every day. So.
every day, it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
I take her advice on some things, and there's some things that, we've set boundaries on. And just because we're doing things differently than she may like to do. But yeah, Rosalind said, I'm going to talk today too. But yeah,
Both the other kids
I
are asleep.
enjoy,
But Rosalind said, nah,
the relationship just growing from,
because it's got to be cool.
yeah, like
Right.
we're friends now. I
Yeah.
mean, she's still my mom. I still respect her and everything,
Sure.
but like,
It's a different
yeah, I
avenue
can
now.
clown her and she not be like, girl, don't be disrespectful. Like, she'll laugh.
Yeah, because there's probably some truth in the clown.
Exactly. She's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and you got to know that it's not coming obviously from a hate or spiteful
Right.
way,
Right.
And we're not gonna go too deep in it, but the parents that right now are my age need to stop being friends with their children. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Drops it and runs away.
I'm not
Drops
gonna
the mic
I'm
and
not gonna
runs
go
away.
too deep in it. But this one is about a father and son relationship.
Mhm.
But we really can take it as just a parent and child relationship.
Right.
The story that we're going to pull from today is the prodigal son. And if you have not heard the prodigal son story at least once in your lifetime following us, You're going to hear it tonight. And this one here, I feel we really pulled a lot of good information from it because we read it and just kept reading it and praying on what is it that we're going to take from it. And I think it's always, there's not a T at the end of always. I think it's always talked about, and that's where I was coming from the son's perspective.
Right.
I just feel like that, right? I
Yeah.
feel like it's always about the son's perspective, about him running away, and it's always that. We're going to take it from a different angle, obviously, because this is seed preservation. We're going to talk about it from the parent's perspective, the father, and see how he saw the situation. And again, we can't always be 100%, but I feel like this is a really good one, right? So it's from Luke 14:11. Oh, sorry, Luke 15. Luke 15:11. It's a parable of the lost son, and it says, "Then he said, a certain man had two sons," talking about God, Jesus, and the younger of them said to his father, "Father, give me the portion of goods that falls to me." So he divided them his livelihood, and not many days after, I'm losing it, the younger son gathered all together, journeyed to a far country, and there wasted his possessions with prodigal living. But when he had spent all of the money, there arose a severe famine in the land, and he began to be in want. And that right there is where we're going to stop it. Obviously, there's some more to go into. We're going to break it down a little bit and just talk about it as we always do. When you read that, what is something that you take from that as the parent?
I mean, from
Not you, Ross.
she said, "Well, I would say that it's a little bit of."
It's late night. She likes talking late at night, folks.
Yes, we make late night children apparently. I think that portion of it, or just you're talking about that portion or the whole story?
The whole story, but I mean, it could be just that portion.
Well, so I would say that from the parents' point of view, it's weirdly, I think, a confidence, because the father, did he want his son to leave and go do what he was doing? No, but he had confidence to know that, like, he instilled what he needed to instill in him and do what he needed to do in order for his son to know right from wrong. Was he gonna probably make mistakes? Yes, but he knew that he did all that he could do, and that was his son's time to, like, figure it out for himself. And so, yes, the son went out and did things that he knew he shouldn't have done, but in the end, he said, "Let me go back."
Yeah, and you know what? I forgot. Did you have a question for this week?
I did, but
okay, let's see what the
I
question
was gonna
is.
let you keep going. I was gonna throw my question in eventually.
You know what? I know you can do that, and we talk about it. Well, you
So-
didn't actually tell me this week, so
No, I
I'm
didn't.
excited
I
to
didn't.
see what. Okay.
So my question is you only have to give one.
Okay.
What is one trait that you think is important to have as a parent?
One trait that I think. Well, obviously, the Spirit told me patience. But no, obviously that's the obvious answer. But I think really it's adaptability, right? I think you got to be adaptable as a parent, because once you have multiple children, you realize that they're not the same person, and they have different personalities, they have different quirks, they have different wants and needs. And granted, we're early on in our parenting phase, but I've got 8 siblings, and all of 8 of us are different. We're just different people.
You heard that right, folks. He said 8.
Yeah, and there are similarities, of course. You know what I'm saying, because we all share a parent. But I think you got to be adaptable, and especially if you want to be a parent that is involved. You know what I'm saying, in your children's lives, because I again, like I said, it's one of the most, it's the most important job that you have on this planet is to be a parent once you decide to be a parent.
Right.
Because there's one quote I love: "Everybody can be a dad, but it takes a man to be a father."
Mm-hmm.
And that's just real, right? Because we all know, I think, that there are a lot of dudes out there. I'm speaking from the dude's perspective. That don't do a good job, and they want to still be selfish, and they still want to be all about themselves. And so, a thing that I think would really kind of with the story is this father set up a home,
Mm-hmm.
and a healthy home.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get into that why we see that it's a healthy home. But he instilled, like you said, confidence into his sons,
Right.
and just a kind of a go-getting type of attitude, because he gave them his inheritance. He didn't hold it back from him. He wanted him to go out and explore and learn. And so I think being adaptable to the ups and downs of parenting is very important.
That's a good answer.
How about yourself?
I'm gonna say compassion, which is such a mom answer.
Such a mom answer.
But it really is, because you have to, what I tell people is you have to think about it regardless if you think it is a common sense thing or it's not that big of a deal, whatever the case is, to that little person that's only been on this world for 3 years, that's
5, 6,
right, whatever the case
years.
is.
Yeah.
that it's a different perspective for them. And so I say compassion because I have to take a moment and really think from their point of view, and not always think of like how I'm feeling, even if it's something that may hurt my feelings or something that is frustrating for me. I have to try and still give that compassion of, not they don't know, but they're not aware of the fullness of the situation.
You know what? You say that, it brought something that I listened to earlier this week. It talked about people being conscious. We
Mm-hmm.
make a lot of choices unconsciously, right? And the choices that we make sometimes, they're not very good choices until it was so mind-blowing to me, but it was like basically saying until you are conscious of the fact of whatever it is, that's when you know that you're making better decisions.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And obviously kids are just running off of emotion.
Right.
They're not conscious to their surroundings. They're not conscious to the world. They're not conscious to how other people are feeling or any of those things.
Yeah.
Because, I think obviously the one thing that we as parents all wish that came with a child is a book manual.
Right.
Not that any of us would read it, but it'd be good just to have. Like, I know it's somewhere around here.
Right.
What am I supposed to do when they do this? And you don't know.
And even if you do figure it out with one kid, if you have another kid, it could be a
completely different way.
answer, and then you're like,
that's why you gotta be adaptable.
I literally don't know what I'm doing.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know, because already very early, like you said, our oldest daughter is very outgoing and just loud and exuberant, which is fantastic.
Passionate like her father.
Passionate like me. Miss Roz here is very calm. Most of the time. When she gets frustrated,
She's
obviously.
sleepy right now, so that's
Yeah,
why
that's the
she's
frustration.
over here moving around. But
when she's like, everything's good, so far, now obviously it can change because the older she gets, but she's just chill, and Roman, he's a little bit of kind of the both, but more so I think on the
hyper
the hyper side. Yeah, I couldn't get them out. Yeah, he's definitely on that, more of that end. I think obviously the older he'll mellow out. It might, we'll see. But all three of them are different, and it's interesting to see.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's funny we're talking about this because earlier, I was on the phone with my mother, and we were talking, and I was doing Robin's hair, and she fell asleep, and I was waking her up to take her to her bed to lay down because she was like literally knocked out while I was finishing her hair. And I was like, okay, let's go lay down. Mind you, she's nodding the whole time, but as soon as I said, let's go lay down in your bed, she just starts flipping it. She's just, ah. And then she's like, where's Daddy? And I'm like, he left, he'll be back. Daddy. Ah. I said, okay, do you want a snack? Do you want graham crackers? No, I don't want graham crackers. She's losing it, y'all. Like, somebody just killed a dog. Like, it's crazy. And so my mom's like, oh my gosh, like, do something. I said, she'll be fine in a second. So we went, I was like, I'll be back. So I left the phone in there so she could still hear me, but I left and went into Robin's room, and we sat on the floor, and I just sat there and I held her and let her get it out. And then she was like, can I have some graham crackers? Even though I just asked her. She said no. Yeah. But it was the fact that, like, we came back and she was perfectly fine. And my mom was like, yeah, it takes a special person. She's like, you're supposed to be her mom because nobody else could handle those meltdowns like that, and you stayed calm the whole time. And it's like that. It's just the compassion of it, because in my head I'm like, she's sleepy. Yeah. So I'm not gonna get riled up by her like having this whole fit because I know she's sleepy.
Yeah. So we had our. I forgot to do that today. Oh my god. Just remember something I'm supposed to be doing. But we at work did our little book club thing, and the book club reading is called Up Yours.
That's a funny name.
It is a funny name. And it was talking kind of just like that, with the maladaptive child, where as a teacher, you need to go calm, because when they're tripping,
you can't go.
They're not thinking with their upper part of their brain.
Correct.
They're thinking with the basement brain, as the book said. And I mean, obviously that's very true when you look into the psychology of things. When a person is riled up, all like the emotion part of your brain that's what takes over. Yeah. And so, good job, because that's something, again, patience, that I'm trying to work on, because and here she is waking up. I knew she was gonna wake up, but this is the part of parenting.
Y'all talking about me.
So you need to go back to sleep. Sleep your eyes.
You gonna sit with Daddy?
It's the part of parenting that I'm still trying to work on. But we were able to
sit in this chair.
Take something from the father's perspective. The way that he handled both children. The story goes on. The younger son, he goes and squanders his money away, his inheritance. He comes back home, and the father throws a party for him because he's so happy that his son's back. He's so happy that the son came back home, right? And the older brother, who stayed, was upset. He was like, yo, you never threw a party for me. Like, why does the young one who squandered his inheritance away, why does he come back home and he did a party? And the dad, the way he handled it was adaptable, patient. He stayed calm, right? And he didn't allow the frustrations of his child rile him up, because obviously, right, as a parent, sometimes you can be like, yo, chill out, and get back at him. But the way that the dad just was calm about the whole situation was very beautiful, in the fact that that's how we want to parent. When a child is going and having a tantrum or having a difference of opinion, if they're older and they're not really thinking the way that they should be thinking, the dad did a great job of just being able to stay patient and tell them, like, you're always with me, right? Like, you stayed here, right? And if you wanted something, all you had to do was ask. You never asked me to have a party, because if you'd asked, you could have had it, And he shut the son down. The second son he was like, oh, I ain't never thought about it like that. And that's, as a parent, how he knew he had a good relationship with him to say those words, and to, again, calm his older son, to be like, you know what? Okay, I didn't think about that, Dad.
Yeah, I think going with our planting and everything, it's like when you have to repot plants sometimes. You know, again, I'm not a master planter, guys, but I know the basics. I know that when you have a seed that starts to sprout and its roots are starting to spread, the roots will stop growing if the pot is small. Like it'll stay within the pot. It's not going to grow outside, climb out the soil or whatever. But as soon as you repot the seed or the plant, meaning taking it out of that small pot and putting it in a bigger pot, then those roots can grow more. And it's the same thing with parenting, because if you keep your children in a box of like, this is all you can do, or this is the safe space, like he could have easily, when he asked him to, he could have easily been like, no, I'm not giving you your money because there's all these things you could get caught up into and all this stuff. But he allowed him to grow and to figure it out. So he had to basically, when he repotted him, he had to rely on the nurturing care that he had already been putting into his seed. So he had already been, giving it its plant food or whatever you give it, water, sunlight, all of those things.
Right.
And so when he moved it into the pot, he just continued to do that, but giving him the space, giving the plant the space to grow, which was the prodigal son. So he gave him that space to grow by letting him go out and do what he felt like he needed to do. Did he, did the father want him to go? I'm sure he didn't, because he probably was like, I don't know what's going to happen. But again, he had that confidence to say, I planted him in this soil and I've been, taking care of him for this long. His roots are in the soil. His roots, he has a foundation, and so he was able to let go. And I think that's the same thing that it's a parable, so we know that it's a reflection of another deeper story, but I think it's the same thing that God does with us is, we grow, and God is not a God of you have to listen, not you have to listen to what I say, because it's good to, but he allows us free will to make our own decisions. And so he loves us regardless, and that's where that unconditional love comes in.
Yeah, you definitely have to let him grow. And I think that's what the father allowed his son to do, and allowed him to learn in such a way that, it's something I'm constantly telling Roman, our car talks, is it's okay to fail. Not constantly, but when we have conversations, I don't want him to get to a point in life where he's afraid to make a mistake. We all are going to make a mistake. It's not the fact that you make a mistake, it's the fact that you won't make the same mistake twice or multiple times over. Fail and fail upward, right? Fail at something, but make it be useful for...
And get back up.
You know what I'm saying? Make it be useful for it. But letting your child grow and not stunting him or putting him in the box, as my beautiful bride said, is very important, because once a kid becomes a young man or woman, and they've had everything, catered to them, and not necessarily allowed them to make mistakes and to fail, they're not going to be successful when they leave the house, right? And we want to have successful people. And one thing that we talked about on the Black Love Club is, I think as parents today, we want to be able to develop a full, well-rounded person. And, there were so many things that I had to learn as a young adult that I wish that I got taught earlier, but I didn't. I wasn't taught those things, and so I had to learn, through trial and error, on my own. Right. And we talk about it. I'm so glad of just the person that has been through a lot, that I came out on the other side in a good way. You know what I'm saying? Because we all can have a way that we can go bad, right? And just like in this book, he had a chance to go bad, but there was something he really realized, and we'll get to that in a second. But another part of the father, I think he wanted his son to succeed, right? Because he gave the inheritance to him. Just like you said, he taught and gave him the soil, He put them in the soil of the house and taught them how to work.
Right.
He taught them how to work because he had confidence enough. Like it could have easily said he had a hard time with giving him the money.
Yeah, he was fearful of
He was like, I don't think. But it says, and many days after, well,